Have you ever noticed that the moment you stop chasing people, begging for attention, or forcing life to go your way, everything suddenly becomes easier? The calls start coming in. Opportunities appear. Your mind becomes peaceful. The same people who ignored you begin to notice you. It feels strange at first. You wonder why life works better when you stop trying so hard. That is the power of detachment. Most people spend their lives desperately trying to control everything. They want approval from others. They want constant validation. They want everyone to understand them, respect them, and choose them. But the harder they chase these things, the more frustrated and emotionally exhausted they become. The Stoics understood something powerful centuries ago. The moment you stop depending on the world for your happiness, you become untouchable. You stop acting from fear. You stop reacting emotionally. You stop losing yourself trying to win people over. And strangely, that is when everything begins to work. Before we continue, subscribe to the channel and join this growing community of strong minds. If you want more powerful lessons on Stoicism, self-control, confidence, and mental strength, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. There is a dangerous habit that destroys peace faster than anything else. Caring too much. Caring too much about what people think. Caring too much about being liked. Caring too much about being accepted. Caring too much about outcomes you cannot control. The truth is simple. The more emotionally attached you become to external things, the weaker your mind becomes. Your emotions begin to depend on people, situations, and opinions. That is a very dangerous way to live. Imagine giving someone else the power to ruin your entire day with one message, one look, or one opinion. That is not strength. That is emotional slavery. Stoicism teaches the opposite. The Stoic mindset says this: control yourself, not the world. You cannot control who stays. You cannot control who leaves. You cannot control how others see you. But you can control your reactions, your discipline, your emotions, and your mindset. And the moment you understand this deeply, your life changes forever. Think about the people who seem calm under pressure. The people who do not panic when things go wrong. The people who move with quiet confidence. They are not calm because life is easy for them. They are calm because they stopped expecting life to obey their wishes. They accept reality instead of fighting it emotionally. That acceptance creates peace. Most suffering comes from resistance. People suffer because reality does not match their expectations. They expected loyalty and got betrayal. They expected love and got silence. They expected success and got failure. But Stoicism teaches that life owes you nothing. Once you accept that truth, you stop being shocked by disappointment. You stop taking everything personally. You stop collapsing emotionally every time something goes wrong. You become stronger. One of the biggest reasons people fail in relationships, careers, and personal growth is emotional desperation. Desperation pushes people away. When you constantly seek attention, approval, or reassurance, people can feel that energy. It creates pressure. It creates neediness. And neediness destroys attraction, respect, and inner peace. But when you stop caring excessively, something powerful happens. You become relaxed. You stop forcing conversations. You stop overthinking every message. You stop trying to impress everyone. And because you are no longer emotionally dependent, your confidence naturally grows. Confidence is not loud. Confidence is not arrogance. Real confidence is emotional independence. It is the ability to remain stable whether people praise you or ignore you. That is rare in today's world. Most people are controlled by emotions they do not understand. One compliment makes them feel valuable. One criticism destroys their confidence. They are constantly emotionally unstable because their self-worth depends on external validation. Stoicism teaches you to build your worth internally. Your peace should not depend on likes, followers, relationships, or approval. Your peace should come from knowing who you are. That is true power. There is a reason why people become more attractive when they stop chasing. It is because detachment creates mystery, confidence, and emotional control. When someone realizes you are not desperate for their attention, they begin to respect you differently. When life realizes you are not emotionally broken by setbacks, you become more resilient. Detachment is not coldness. Detachment is balance. It means enjoying things without becoming controlled by them. A Stoic can love deeply without becoming emotionally weak. A Stoic can work hard without becoming obsessed with results. A Stoic can experience success without becoming arrogant. Why? Because they understand that everything in life is temporary. People change. Situations change. Emotions change. Nothing lasts forever. And once you deeply understand this, you stop clinging to things out of fear. Fear disappears when attachment disappears. Many people are afraid of rejection because they are attached to being accepted. Many people fear failure because they are attached to success. Many people fear being alone because they are attached to constant attention. But the moment you become comfortable without these things, fear loses its power over you. That is freedom. One of the greatest lessons Stoicism teaches is this: the less you need, the stronger you become. Modern society teaches the opposite. It teaches people to constantly seek more validation, more attention, more comfort, and more approval. But endless desire creates endless suffering. The Stoics believe peace comes from mastering desire, not feeding it endlessly. Think about this carefully. If your happiness depends on people behaving exactly how you want, you will always suffer. People are unpredictable. Life is unpredictable. But your inner state does not have to be unpredictable. You can train your mind to remain stable no matter what happens around you. That is what Stoicism is truly about. Inner stability. There is incredible power in silence. Most people react emotionally to everything. They argue immediately. They defend themselves constantly. They try to prove their worth to people who already misunderstood them. But Stoics understand that silence is often stronger than explanation. Not everyone deserves your energy. Not every opinion deserves a response. Not every battle deserves your attention. When you stop reacting emotionally, people lose the ability to control you. That is why emotionally disciplined people appear powerful. Their emotions are not easily manipulated. And in today's world, emotional control is a superpower. One of the biggest transformations happens when you stop caring about being understood by everyone. Some people will misunderstand you no matter how clearly you explain yourself. Some people will judge you unfairly. Some people will dislike you for reasons that have nothing to do with you. And that is okay. You do not need universal approval to live a meaningful life. The moment you stop trying to win everyone over, your mind becomes lighter. You become more authentic. You stop performing. You stop pretending. And ironically, people respect you more because they sense your honesty. The Stoics often reflected on death, not to become fearful, but to become wiser. Life is short. Too short to spend constantly worrying about opinions. Too short to spend begging people to value you. Too short to spend chasing things that destroy your peace. When you remember how temporary life is, you start focusing on what truly matters. Your character. Your discipline. Your purpose. Your peace. Everything else becomes secondary. Many people believe happiness comes from gaining control over life. But Stoicism teaches that peace comes from letting go of the need to control everything. That changes everything. When you stop obsessing over outcomes, anxiety decreases. When you stop forcing relationships, emotional exhaustion disappears. When you stop needing constant validation, confidence grows naturally. The strongest people are often the least attached. Not because they do not care about life, but because they understand life deeply. They know that attachment creates suffering. Imagine waking up every morning without fear of rejection. Imagine walking through life without needing everyone's approval. Imagine having a mind so calm that negativity cannot easily disturb you. That is the power of Stoicism. It is not about becoming emotionless. It is about becoming emotionally intelligent. There is a difference. Emotionless people suppress feelings. Stoic people understand feelings without becoming controlled by them. That is mastery. One of the hardest lessons in life is realizing that some people only value you when they feel they can lose you. When you are always available, always chasing, always explaining yourself, your value decreases in their eyes. But when you respect yourself enough to walk away from disrespect, people begin to see your worth differently. This is not manipulation. It is human psychology. People respect what is calm, confident, and emotionally self-sufficient. That is why detachment changes relationships. It changes energy. It changes how you carry yourself. It changes how the world responds to you. You stop operating from fear. And fearless people are powerful. Most overthinking disappears when attachment disappears. Overthinking is usually the result of emotional dependency. You replay conversations because you fear rejection. You overanalyze situations because you fear losing control. You worry constantly because your happiness depends on certain outcomes. But when you accept uncertainty, the mind relaxes. You realize that no amount of worrying can control life completely. So instead of wasting energy overthinking, you focus on action, discipline, and inner peace. That mindset creates strength. There is something magnetic about people who are emotionally grounded. They do not beg for attention. They do not panic under pressure. They do not chase validation. Their calm energy speaks for itself. And people naturally gravitate toward that kind of energy because it feels rare. In a world full of emotional chaos, peace stands out. Stoicism teaches that your greatest investment should be your mind. Train your mind to stay calm. Train your mind to stay disciplined. Train your mind to stay focused. Because once your mind becomes strong, external chaos loses its power over you. No insult can destroy you. No rejection can break you. No failure can define you. You become resilient. That is why everything starts working when you stop caring excessively. You stop sabotaging yourself emotionally. You stop acting out of desperation. You stop making fear-based decisions. And when fear disappears, clarity appears. Life becomes simpler. The Stoics believe that happiness comes from living according to virtue, not emotion. A disciplined life creates peace. A meaningful life creates fulfillment. A calm mind creates strength. But modern society constantly distracts people from these truths. People are taught to chase status instead of character, attention instead of wisdom, validation instead of self-respect. That is why so many people feel empty even after getting what they wanted. Because external success without inner peace still feels incomplete. Real peace is internal. And no one can give it to you except yourself. Once you stop caring about things outside your control, your energy changes completely. You become more focused, more disciplined, more attractive, more peaceful, and more powerful. Because you are finally living from inner strength instead of emotional dependence. That is the hidden secret behind Stoicism. It is not about avoiding life. It is about mastering yourself within life. If this message spoke to you, subscribe to the channel right now and become part of this journey toward mental strength, discipline, and emotional freedom. More powerful Stoic lessons are coming, and you do not want to miss them. Remember this always. The moment you stop chasing everything desperately, the moment you stop needing constant approval, the moment you stop allowing fear to control your emotions, everything begins to change. Because peace attracts clarity. Clarity attracts confidence. And confidence changes your entire life. Once you stop caring excessively, everything starts working. There comes a point in life where you realize that exhaustion is not always caused by hard work. Sometimes, exhaustion comes from emotional attachment. You become tired because you are constantly trying to control things that were never yours to control. You try to manage people's opinions. You try to force love. You try to predict the future. You try to avoid rejection. You try to keep everyone happy. And in the process, you slowly lose yourself. The Stoics warned against this kind of living because they understood a painful truth. A person who depends on external things for peace will never truly be at peace. Think about how many people destroy their mental health trying to be liked by everyone. They change their personality to fit in. They silence their real thoughts to avoid criticism. They overextend themselves just to receive approval. But no matter how much they sacrifice, it is never enough. Someone will still judge them. Someone will still misunderstand them. Someone will still leave. So why destroy your peace trying to control the uncontrollable? A Stoic learns to accept this reality early. Not everyone will appreciate you. Not everyone will stay loyal. Not everyone will see your value. And strangely, once you fully accept this, you stop suffering over it. That acceptance creates emotional freedom. One of the most dangerous addictions in modern life is the addiction to attention. People constantly check their phones looking for validation. A message. A like. A compliment. Some sign that they matter. And when that attention disappears, anxiety appears immediately. That is emotional dependency. Stoicism teaches you to break free from that cycle. Your worth does not increase because someone praises you. And your worth does not decrease because someone ignores you. You must know your value without needing constant reminders from the world. That is real self-respect. The strongest people are often the quietest. Not because they are weak, but because they no longer feel the need to prove themselves to everyone. Weak people seek attention constantly. Strong people seek peace. There is a massive difference. When you stop trying to prove your value, your energy changes completely. You become calmer, more focused, more observant. You stop wasting energy arguing with people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You begin protecting your peace instead of defending your ego. That is maturity. Marcus Aurelius once reminded himself that people act according to what they know. Some people are ignorant. Some are selfish. Some are emotional. Some are dishonest. But becoming angry at human nature changes nothing. Instead of expecting perfection from people, Stoicism teaches acceptance. This does not mean tolerating disrespect. It means understanding reality without emotional shock. If someone betrays you, learn the lesson and move forward. If someone leaves you, accept it and continue growing. If life becomes difficult, adapt instead of collapsing emotionally. This mindset creates resilience. And resilience is more valuable than temporary comfort. Most people avoid discomfort because they think comfort equals happiness. But comfort often creates weakness. A person who cannot handle rejection becomes desperate. A person who cannot handle loneliness becomes emotionally dependent. A person who cannot handle failure becomes fearful of trying. Stoicism teaches you to become comfortable with discomfort. Sit with silence. Face rejection calmly. Accept uncertainty. Learn discipline. Because growth begins the moment you stop running from difficult emotions. One of the most powerful transformations happens when you stop taking everything personally. Someone ignores your message. Someone criticizes you. Someone behaves coldly. And immediately, the mind creates painful stories. What did I do wrong? Why don't they value me? Am I not enough? But Stoicism teaches you to pause before reacting emotionally. Not everything is about you. People are fighting battles you cannot see. Some people project their pain onto others. Some people are emotionally immature. Some people simply lack the capacity to appreciate good people. Do not destroy your peace trying to understand everyone's behavior. Focus on your own character instead. That is where your power lives. The world becomes lighter when you stop carrying unnecessary emotional weight. Many people are emotionally exhausted because they are carrying memories, regrets, resentment, and fear every single day. They replay old conversations. They relive old betrayals. They reopen emotional wounds repeatedly. And without realizing it, they become prisoners of the past. Stoicism teaches that the past no longer exists. You cannot change it. You can learn from it, but you cannot live inside it forever. The present moment is where your power exists. That is why disciplined people move differently. They do not spend years crying over people who left. They do not spend decades blaming life for their pain. They heal, they learn, and they continue moving forward. That is strength. There is also a hidden danger in caring too much about success. Yes, ambition is important. Goals matter. Discipline matters. But obsession with results creates anxiety. You begin measuring your worth based on outcomes. If you succeed, you feel valuable. If you fail, you feel worthless. That emotional instability is dangerous. Stoicism teaches you to focus on effort instead of obsession with results. You control your actions. You do not fully control outcomes. Once you understand this, pressure decreases. You work hard without emotional panic. You stay disciplined without becoming consumed by fear. And ironically, this calm mindset often leads to better performance. Because fear clouds judgment. But calmness creates clarity. People often ask why detached individuals seem happier. It is because they have stopped trying to force life to obey them. They allow life to unfold naturally while remaining disciplined internally. That balance is powerful. A river flows because it does not resist itself. Likewise, your life becomes smoother when you stop fighting reality emotionally. Acceptance is not weakness. Acceptance is wisdom. You accept what you cannot control so you can focus on what you can control. That is intelligent living. The Stoics believe that every challenge contains an opportunity to grow stronger. Rejection teaches independence. Pain teaches resilience. Loneliness teaches self-discovery. Failure teaches wisdom. Nothing is completely wasted unless you refuse to learn from it. That perspective changes everything. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you begin asking, "What is this teaching me?" That single shift in mindset transforms suffering into growth. One reason people remain emotionally trapped is because they fear letting go. They fear losing relationships. They fear losing status. They fear losing familiarity. Even toxic situations feel safer than uncertainty. But Stoicism teaches that attachment to unhealthy things destroys inner peace. Sometimes growth requires letting go. Letting go of toxic people. Letting go of unhealthy habits. Letting go of old identities. And most importantly, letting go of the desperate need to control everything. Because life constantly changes. And those who resist change suffer the most. A tree survives storms by bending with the wind. Likewise, wise people adapt to life instead of breaking under pressure. Adaptability is strength. Emotional flexibility is strength. Calmness under pressure is strength. The Stoic mind is not rigid. It is steady. One of the greatest signs of emotional growth is becoming less reactive. In the past, everything triggered you. Every criticism hurt deeply. Every rejection ruined your mood. Every inconvenience created frustration. But as your mind becomes stronger, your reactions become calmer. You stop giving people easy access to your emotions. You stop allowing small problems to control your peace. And because of this, life becomes easier. Not because problems disappear, but because you respond differently. That is true transformation. The world respects people who respect themselves. When you constantly chase others for validation, you unconsciously communicate insecurity. But when you move through life with quiet confidence, boundaries, and emotional control, people sense your value naturally. You no longer need to announce your worth. Your energy speaks for itself. That is the quiet power of Stoicism. It teaches you to become internally strong instead of externally impressive. And in a world obsessed with appearances, inner strength is rare. Many people spend years trying to impress strangers while neglecting their own soul. They build public images but remain internally broken. Stoicism teaches the opposite. Build your inner world first. Strengthen your mind. Strengthen your discipline. Strengthen your character. Because external success means nothing if your mind is constantly in chaos. Inner peace is the real success. There will always be noise in the world. Drama. Opinions. Competition. Negativity. Distractions. But the Stoic learns to remain centered despite the noise. Like a mountain standing through storms, they remain grounded. That calmness becomes their power. And eventually, people begin to notice something different about them. They move without desperation. They speak without fear. They live without constantly seeking approval. And that kind of presence is unforgettable. If you are still watching, subscribe to the channel and join this community of people choosing discipline over distraction, strength over weakness, and peace over chaos. More powerful Stoic lessons are coming your way. Never forget this truth. The less you desperately need from the world, the more powerful you become. Because freedom begins the moment attachment ends. Most people spend their entire lives chasing things they believe will finally make them happy. More money, more attention, more relationships, more recognition. But even after achieving those things, many still feel empty inside. Why? Because peace cannot be found in constant chasing. Peace is found in mastery over yourself. The Stoics understood that external success means very little if your mind remains unstable. You can have wealth and still feel anxious. You can have fame and still feel lonely. You can be surrounded by people and still feel emotionally lost. That is why inner control matters more than external control. A person who controls their mind cannot easily be defeated by life. One of the hardest truths to accept is that some battles are simply not worth fighting. Not every insult deserves a response. Not every disagreement deserves your energy. Not every person deserves access to your emotions. Wise people understand the value of conserving energy. Every emotional reaction costs something. Every unnecessary argument drains your peace. Every attempt to force understanding from closed minds wastes valuable time. Stoicism teaches selective focus. Protect your energy carefully. The world will constantly try to pull you into chaos. Social media, drama, comparison, negativity, and endless distractions are everywhere. Many people wake up every day already emotionally exhausted because their minds are overloaded with unnecessary noise. But calm people think differently. They disconnect from what destroys their peace. They stop feeding emotional chaos. They become intentional about what they allow into their mind. That is discipline. And discipline creates freedom. A weak mind reacts instantly. A strong mind pauses first. That pause changes everything. When someone insults you, pause. When life disappoints you, pause. When emotions rise, pause. Because many regrets are born from emotional reactions. Anger destroys opportunities. Desperation destroys relationships. Fear destroys confidence. But emotional control protects your future. This is why Stoicism is so powerful in modern life. It teaches you to think before reacting, to observe before speaking, to remain calm while others lose control. And in a world full of emotional impulsiveness, calmness becomes rare power. Many people unknowingly destroy their own happiness by comparing themselves to others. They compare success, looks, relationships, money, status, and every comparison creates dissatisfaction. But Stoicism teaches that comparison is a trap. There will always be someone richer, someone more attractive, someone more successful. If your happiness depends on being better than everyone else, you will never feel complete. Real confidence comes from self-improvement, not competition. Focus on becoming better than your previous self. That is enough. One of the greatest forms of freedom is no longer needing to prove your worth. When you were younger, maybe you wanted everyone to notice you. You wanted approval, validation, recognition. But maturity changes your perspective. You realize that people's opinions change constantly. Today they praise you. Tomorrow they criticize you. So building your identity around public opinion is dangerous. The Stoic builds identity from character instead. Character lasts longer than attention. A strong character creates lasting respect. There is also power in being misunderstood. Most people panic when others misunderstand them. They rush to explain themselves. They desperately try to correct every false opinion. But Stoicism teaches that not every misunderstanding needs correction. Sometimes silence is wiser. Sometimes distance is wiser. Sometimes peace is more important than being understood. You do not need to attend every argument you are invited to. That realization saves enormous emotional energy. One reason detached people often succeed is because they are no longer paralyzed by fear. Fear comes from attachment. You fear losing what you desperately depend on. But when you become emotionally independent, fear weakens. You take more risks. You think more clearly. You act with greater confidence. because your entire identity is no longer attached to one outcome. This mindset creates courage, and courage changes lives. Many people wait for perfect conditions before taking action. They wait until they feel fully confident, fully prepared, fully certain. But life rarely gives complete certainty. Stoicism teaches action despite uncertainty. You may fail. You may be rejected. You may struggle. But avoiding life out of fear creates deeper regret than failure itself. The Stoics believe that obstacles are part of the path, not interruptions to it. Difficulties strengthen you. Challenges sharpen you. Pain teaches you. Without hardship, growth remains shallow. That is why mentally strong people stop asking for easier lives. Instead, they build stronger minds. One of the biggest emotional traps is attachment to comfort. Comfort feels safe, but too much comfort weakens ambition and resilience. Growth requires discomfort. Discipline requires discomfort. Transformation requires discomfort. Every strong person you admire has endured discomfort most people avoided. They faced rejection, loneliness, failure, criticism, uncertainty. But instead of collapsing, they used those experiences to become stronger. That is the Stoic way. Pain is not always punishment. Sometimes pain is preparation. One of the most peaceful moments in life is when you stop forcing things that clearly do not belong in your life anymore. Forced relationships create stress. Forced conversations create awkwardness. Forced success creates burnout. Forced happiness creates emptiness. But when you allow life to flow naturally while remaining disciplined internally, peace begins to appear. You stop clinging desperately. You stop begging. You stop chasing what does not choose you. And strangely, that is when life often starts opening new doors. Because desperation blocks clarity. Calmness creates opportunity. People often confuse detachment with giving up. But they are completely different. Giving up means losing hope. Detachment means maintaining peace regardless of outcomes. A Stoic still works hard. Still loves deeply. Still pursues goals. But they do not emotionally collapse when life becomes unpredictable. That emotional stability is true strength. Many people only feel valuable when they are constantly busy, praised, or needed by others. Silence makes them uncomfortable. Being alone makes them anxious. Because they have never truly built a relationship with themselves. Stoicism teaches solitude without loneliness. Learning to enjoy your own company is powerful. When you can sit alone peacefully, the world loses one of its biggest weapons against you. You stop tolerating toxic people out of fear of loneliness. You stop settling for disrespect just to avoid being alone. You become selective with your energy. And selective people protect their peace better. The quality of your life is deeply connected to the quality of your mind. A restless mind creates suffering even in beautiful situations. A peaceful mind can remain calm even during difficult seasons. That is why mental discipline matters more than temporary emotions. Feelings change constantly. But principles create stability. Stoicism teaches principles over emotions. Discipline over impulse. Wisdom over reaction. Long-term peace over short-term pleasure. That mindset changes everything. One day you realize that chasing everyone's approval is impossible. No matter how kind you are, someone will dislike you. No matter how successful you become, someone will criticize you. No matter how carefully you explain yourself, someone will misunderstand you. And that is perfectly normal. Freedom begins when you stop expecting universal acceptance. You were not born to please everyone. You were born to live with integrity. Integrity matters more than popularity. The Stoics often reflected on how quickly life passes. Years disappear faster than people expect. That is why wasting your entire life on fear, overthinking, and emotional dependency is tragic. Life is too short to constantly seek validation from people who are also confused about themselves. Life is too precious to spend emotionally chained to temporary things. Eventually, everything external changes. Youth fades. Money fluctuates. Relationships shift. Opinions change. But character remains. Inner strength remains. Wisdom remains. That is why Stoicism focuses so heavily on the internal world. Because external things are unstable. But a disciplined mind creates lasting peace. Imagine becoming the type of person who remains calm no matter what happens. A person who cannot easily be manipulated emotionally. A person who no longer fears rejection. A person who moves through life with quiet confidence and discipline. That is possible. But it requires training your mind daily. Not occasionally. Daily. Every challenge becomes an opportunity to practice patience. Every disappointment becomes an opportunity to practice resilience. Every difficult moment becomes an opportunity to strengthen emotional control. This is how strong minds are built. Slowly. Consistently. Intentionally. And over time, people begin noticing something different about you. You no longer react emotionally to everything. You no longer seek constant attention. You no longer panic over temporary problems. Your calmness becomes your power. Your discipline becomes your advantage. Your peace becomes your protection. If you are still watching, subscribe to the channel and become part of this journey towards self-mastery, emotional intelligence, and stoic strength. More life-changing lessons are coming soon, and you do not want to miss them. Always remember this. When you stop chasing validation, you discover self-respect. When you stop fearing rejection, you discover confidence. When you stop trying to control everything, you discover peace. And when peace enters your life, everything begins to work differently.